You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Power Talk. I am Micah Ponce, Communications and Media Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative and one of today's hosts for the show. But I'm not doing this alone. I am joined, as always, by Miss Libby Rogue, the Director of Marketing and Communications, or Public Relations here. Or you're Director of something. I don't know. I only work with you for how many years now? I can't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You're directing. That's the important thing.
Well, we're all part of the team. Good morning, Micah. Good morning.
My notes say Director of Marketing and Communications.
Yes.
We have marketing departments. We have communications departments, public relations departments. We're all just one big happy family.
Yes.
Throw energy services in there too.
We all work for the member.
We do.
That's
but
what
we're not alone today. We have several special guests with us. We have Miss Brianna Johnson, our public relations specialist, and only the second time on the show, but she's already a vet. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Micah. Good morning.
Morning. Glad to have you. But let's get to the real meat of it today. We're going to have our very special guest, Miss Anna Lonon, the founder of the Lonon Foundation.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, as is tradition here on Power Talk, we're going to present you with a ceremonial mug. It's a very elite club.
You can actually use it.
Yes, This is great. This is like a perfect coffee mug. Thank you.
But now that we've done that, the other part of our tradition is when we have somebody new on, we'd like to learn a little bit about them so the folks who are listening can get to know you a little bit better. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I'm the founder of the Lonon Foundation, like you said, and the Lonon Foundation provides free resources to children impacted by caregiver or parents' cancer diagnosis. I also work for a software company as their communications specialist in their marketing department.
Yeah, she's one of us.
Yeah, I'm one of you, English degree. Before that position, I taught. I taught for 5 years at Trident Tech and then for 9 years at the College of Charleston in the English department. I have 2 children and Jack, who's 14, getting ready to go into Academic Magnet, and Harper, who's at East Cooper Montessori. And my stepson, Charlie, goes to Academic Magnet as well. Very proud of them. And I'm also married, and my husband works at Boeing. And that's a little bit about me.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all are busy, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you founded the Lonon Foundation after a personal experience your family had with your husband's battle with cancer.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and why you were compelled to help families in the Low Country in this way?
Yeah, so my first husband, Michael, and I moved to the Charleston area after we graduated from USC in Columbia. He was an engineer and worked for a company down here, government contractor. And he was diagnosed with stage 3 head and neck cancer. And at the time of his diagnosis, we were, newly married. I was teaching at the college. Our son, Jack, was 1. And, it was a really tough fight. He fought that cancer diagnosis for 3 years. And unfortunately, he passed away from it in April 7th, 2014. 2014, sorry. And at the time he passed, our son was 4, and we had a 3-month-old daughter, Harper. And what I found, after that time, during it and after, is that, he and I would always talk about, how tough it was. And we had, good family support. We had good jobs. I mean, as a college professor, I didn't work, 5 days a week. And so I was able to go with him to chemo and sometimes in radiation and be with him. We had good insurance. And we were like, how are other people doing this?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how are people doing it that are less insured or less access to things? And so for everyone, it's a tough situation. But after he passed, I wanted to give back, and I knew that there were no resources locally for children or caregivers of people with cancer, but I knew that they existed. I knew we weren't the only ones. And so I started the foundation to kind of be that community for these families and provide resources to help the children to mitigate some of the stress and trauma that they go through. You know, as a person who was a caregiver for Michael, and also as a cancer survivor myself, after your own, you know, worrying about yourself, that, you know, if you're a parent, the next thing you think about is, what about my children, right? Yeah. So for me, it was just really important to start something that we could say, okay, you're not alone. Yeah. We're in this together, and we'll try to support you as much as possible, and by helping your kids.
Yeah, I think almost daily now, how do I communicate this to my child? You know, and certainly my family's never experienced anything as devastating or stressful as a cancer diagnosis, but I couldn't imagine how to even try to approach those conversations, and the isolation families must feel not having somebody who can relate to the impact of something like that in their lives. And so just kudos to you and the folks who helped make the Lonon Foundation happen. And
thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, and I don't think, you know, I think this knowing what to say to your child during, you know, for a cancer diagnosis, when a parent has a cancer diagnosis, is across the board, goes no matter race, gender, you know, socioeconomic. I mean, even when recently the princess was diagnosed, she was quoted saying, we've been just trying to figure out how to talk to the children and explain this to them in the best way we can without, you know, traumatizing them, you know, providing the right information, but not too much. And so, you know, we have support that helps people do that. And,
wow.
Yeah. And I mean, personally, I mean, the closest we ever came, but our next door neighbor, who was my wife's best friend, she ended up developing brain cancer. And so we were very close with the family. They lived literally right next door to us, and just seeing everything that you have to go through. I mean, like you said, there's so many appointments, there's so many things that you have to juggle, and so much of your energy is devoted to the process of trying to make sure the person is getting well and getting the treatment, that it's hard to spare that mental energy for the children, who can sometimes probably get, I mean, you're never going to forget about them, but I mean, from going, most families, children are your main focus, and having that focus shift to your partner, and having to put all of your energy and all of your mental fortitude in that direction, it is sometimes hard to make sure that the children are getting the support that they need as well. So, I mean, having been very close to that, and unfortunately going through the journey from, you know, start to finish, and she didn't make it, and seeing the impact that it had on the family, I can fully appreciate the need for this type of foundation and this type of support for the children who are going through the same type of thing that our neighbors did.
Yeah, and I think as a parent, you naturally want to reassure your children that everything's going to be okay, you know, but your life is forever going to be changed no matter what the end result is, but sometimes it's not going to be okay. And how do you manage that situation? And just
and I think that, you know, I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so, you know, you always hear you know, kids are resilient, and kids are resilient, but they have to be given the skills to be resilient. And a lot of this work is kind of founded on the principles of adverse childhood experiences. And so there is research that, you know, for every what they call adverse childhood experience, or ACE, you know, everything that a child goes through, it will impact them later in life. Yeah. Whether it's with mental health issues or physical health issues, alcoholism, there's lots of things. So if a child, there's the regular stuff that's going on, like, moving into a new community, or, maybe the child has something going on. I remember when this was happening for us, my son had to do PT. So during that first initial cancer diagnosis, the first year my husband had it, we were going to radiation appointments, then PT, then my son was in, soccer, all the other things don't stop just because of a cancer diagnosis. And so it's figuring out, how to do it all.
Yeah.
So, what we do is we are trying to, we can't, change the situation per se, but helping the parents, empowering the parents through providing them the things they need to help their children through this and beyond is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And what is coping? What does that look like?
Yeah.
How do you help a 8-year-old versus a 15-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
And what if the 8-year-old seems like they're fine, but they're not?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that look like? What's
Right.
a typical stress response? And
Yeah.
how do you respond to that typical stress response? So, yeah.
Wow.
And actually, Anna, we have a dear friend here at the co-op who recently lost his adult daughter in her fight with cancer. So, towards the end of her fight, he was trying to cope with the fact that his child was not doing well, but then also she had 2 small children. So he's, having to take some of that time away from him coping and trying to help them cope and stay in their routine. So I think this is such a awesome initiative you have, and this is something a lot of people don't consider in that fight. So thank you.
Thank you, Brianna.
And so we connected as part of my work on behalf of the cooperative. As a not-for-profit electric utility, we are governed by 7 cooperative principles, including one of our favorites, concern for community. While focusing on members' needs, cooperatives work to develop their communities by encouraging economic development, promoting education, and advocating safe use of electricity. So we appreciate you sharing your story as a fellow community resource, and we're here to hear more. So your services are in all cancer clinics and hospitals in the Low Country.
Yes, we are working towards getting them into all. We're currently in MUSC, Roper, Trident Cancer Center, the Breast Place, and the VA. And so we have in those facilities the nurse navigators in the oncology units, as well as the social workers, know about the foundation and what our resources are. And then if they have a family who comes in, and the primary goal, of course, is treating the patient, of course. But along the line, you find out about their family, And so if a patient has a family, has children, and that when that comes up, then the nurse navigator or social worker or even doctor will say, well, do you know about the Lonon Foundation? And then we have family resource kits that they'll provide to them. And those kits have a booklet that we wrote with a child life specialist to talk about how to talk to your child about a cancer diagnosis, the typical stress responses, and ways to facilitate conversations based on your situation. And so those are in those are in the hospitals and cancer clinics. But we also offer free virtual and in-person events. The May event for families was a boating excursion at Kiowa.
Okay.
And it was really lovely. We had actually 2 boats full, and we went dolphin watching, and it was great. And then we also have mini grants that we provide to families. And then we have our child life services that provide individualized support to the families.
And you have this fall your first meet and greet coming up, August 24th at the All Abilities Playground in Park Circle.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. I'm really excited to check out that park anyway. My daughter's been dying to go. So we're going to be there on August 24th. And, if you're a family that is facing a cancer diagnosis for a parent or caregiver, please go to our website or email us, and you'll be told more specifics about that day. But it's a meet and greet. We're going to have a face painter and some what are the icy things? The icy trucks? What are they called?
Oh,
Kona ice.
Yeah, Kona ice.
Yep.
Sorry, we're gonna have Kona ice, and we're just the families are gonna be able to meet some of the volunteers. I'll be there. The child life specialist will be there, and we'll just kind of introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about the fall 2024, spring 2025 uplift season, we call it.
Yeah.
And it'll be a chance for families to meet each other too, and for kids to get that really important peer-to-peer support.
Wow.
By meeting other kids like them.
Okay. Well, folks, if you're just now tuning in, you're listening to Power Talk, and we have special guest Anna Lonon in the studio. She's the founder of the Lonon Foundation, which provides services and support for children and families who are going through a cancer diagnosis. And we're learning all the ways in that you get support to those families in their time of need. Now, you had mentioned that y'all offer support from a certified child life specialist. So, I mean, what is that specialty, I guess, and why is it important for families to have that when families are dealing with a cancer diagnosis?
Yeah, so I was unfamiliar with what a certified child life specialist was until I started this foundation, and I started working with Susan Simonian at the College of Charleston. She's the director of the graduate program in child life, and so a lot of her graduate students volunteer for us. But a child life specialist is someone who is educated in the developmental stages of children from 0 to 18. And they are specifically trained to help children in stressful situations. In bigger cities, like New York, for instance, hospitals will have child life specialists for the children of parents who have cancer or have had a heart attack or have been in a wreck, and those specialists will go in, talk to the child. Smaller, places can't afford to have child life specialists. Now, we have a great group of child life specialists at MUSC Children's Hospital, but those child life specialists are working with sick children or children who are getting ready to go through a procedure or surgery or something. So we provide child life specialists for children of a parent or caregiver with cancer, which is not provided anywhere really in the state. MUSC, when they'll have referrals, and they'll try to help those adults, but they just are limited in the resource. So the Lonon Foundation is able to provide that resource.
Well, when I was doing a little bit of background research, one of the things that I noticed that y'all teach is like a mindfulness for children, and I was sort of looking up what that meant, because I've heard the term before, but it's not anything that I'm real familiar with. But can you explain basically what is the mindfulness activities, or what is involved with that? That philosophy.
So mindfulness, of course, is staying in the moment, getting out of your head, and so. An example of one would be 5-finger breathing. So you breathe in when you trace your finger, and then you breathe out as you go down the other side. But it's refocusing on the moment. It's doing something like the 5 senses. Name 5 things that you can see right now. Name 5 things that you can hear right now. Name 5 things that you can smell right now. Again, just getting you back into the moment so that you're not spinning out and worrying. Yeah. Our child life specialist utilizes mindfulness, coping, resilience, play-based therapy in our virtual events. So, for instance, for the September event, she will send all the materials to all of our families that want to participate. And the one mindfulness thing might be it's a bottle that, with all the floating things that go up and out. So the children make their own, and we send them all the things to be able to make it.
Okay.
And then we meet with them, or Katie, our child life specialist, meets with them via Zoom, and then talks to them about what it is, how to use it to relieve your stress or worry, and does it with them. And we have a couple volunteers as well. And it's really cool. So it's teaching these kind of mindfulness and coping skills within the context of what they're going through. But we know from research that if you know how to do this, you will use it forever, or hopefully you will use it forever, and it will help.
The skills translate.
Absolutely.
Throughout your life.
Yeah. I mean, I do my deep breathing before I came in today.
Start doing that at work.
I was about to say, as a child of the 70s and 80s, we really weren't taught any of that. It was just sort of, hey kid, deal with it yourself,
Yeah.
But I mean,
Suck it up.
it's different philosophies, and things change over times. And I think it's really important to be able to, have those coping mechanisms instead of trying to internalize everything and sort of figure out a way forward on your own. Having that support system is incredibly important.
Yeah. Because when you internalize these issues and you don't deal with them, whether you're a child or an adult, they're going to come out in a less desirable way.
And can even cause health complications, from the internalized stress. I think we can all
be more mindful.
Be more mindful and be aware of that, because we deal with a little bit more stressors than we used to back in the 70s or 80s, or at least different types of stressors.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
And Anna, I love that you guys are able to partner with the College of Charleston to give these new child life specialists some practical experience, but also fill a need in the community. It just really seems like a win-win.
It really is. And Dr. Simonian's been great since the beginning. I think I probably met up with her in 2017 when we first got started. And they have helped create kind of the curriculum that now Katie, our child life specialist, has further expanded. And they're wonderful. And it does give them, actual experience utilizing their child life skills and what they're learning in the classroom. We also partner with the Honors College at the College of Charleston, and they provide them volunteer opportunities as well. And those are great kids too. That's who I taught when I was there. So
Awesome.
They're great.
What did you teach? What subject?
I taught academic writing, freshman English.
Oh, well.
A lot of people hated me, but I know. That's always there's always one person in the room that's like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm a writer.
Yeah. All right.
I know from personal experience.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you just mentioned that you have some students from College of Charleston that volunteer with you. Can you let us know a little bit about your volunteer opportunities that you have?
Yeah, sure. So we really love to have our child life specialist grad students work with Katie to support the children. So they're already trained with what to say, what not to say. And we also provide training to our college students, the honors kids, if they're going to work with our children. But we also have volunteer opportunities in terms of making our family resource kits. We don't have a physical location, so we have all of our things in a storage unit downtown. And so, we go in there and we'll try to knock 30 out, but those go pretty fast because we take like 10 at a time to the hospital. So we always need volunteers for helping put together, these resource kits. We need volunteers at outreach events. We try to be at breast cancer walks, colon cancer walks, anything where we're going to see patients who, have either, are going through cancer or have gotten through cancer and need more support for their children and don't know about us. So we're always looking for really good folks that, want to talk about what we do and kind of spread the word.
And as you're getting into the hospitals, I'm sure that the population of people that you're dealing with is starting to expand, and you're starting to run into different, subpopulations or folks that you might not normally deal with. I mean, has that presented any challenges in terms of like language barriers or anything else like that? Is there any volunteerism that can help that way?
Yeah, we actually are really in need of a Spanish-speaking or bilingual volunteer. we have had a couple of Spanish families in the past, but recently we have a family that needs our support, and we have resources that, materials that are translated into Spanish, but we really need a Spanish-speaking person to help our child life specialist communicate with the parent. The child can speak English, but that defeats the purpose because,
right.
We want to be able to, speak to the parent, give them the support the tools that they can then talk to their child. So yes, we are in need for that.
Yeah, what a lot of folks don't realize is there is a fairly large and growing Hispanic population in the Lowcountry. We found out there's a growing Portuguese speaking community as well. Yep. So, we're becoming a very cosmopolitan area. But, it brings unique challenges for being able to serve those populations and make sure that they get the support that they need as well.
And I want, a Spanish, I want them to be able, when they come to an event, I want them to feel like they are completely supported, just like our English-speaking families, So it's very important.
I agree. That is very important, just to make sure everyone feels heard, and especially in such a vulnerable time, they want to be understood. So it sounds like the Lonon Foundation is certainly making an important impact when families need it most. So we appreciate you. Again, I know I've already said it, but I have personal experiences, so we definitely appreciate it.
Thank you,
can you share an example of who you're serving specifically and how you're making a difference?
Sure. Recently, one of our Uplift moms, I actually spoke with her not too long ago because I'm doing a little write-up for her for our newsletter. But she told me her story and also how she's utilizing our resources. So I don't think she would mind me sharing. So she, her husband, stage 3, they're young, and it took a little while for diagnosis because he had some issues, and they were told, "Oh, you're young." Yeah. But anyway, she got him in at MUSC. She was working there, and she was able to get somebody to see him and do a scan, stage 3. And at the time they had a baby and a boy under 5. And they have since been in the program for a year, and they have a new baby. So they have 3 children. And her husband's doing very well. His recent scan was clean, which is wonderful.
Oh, amazing, yeah.
And they have utilized our virtual resources. And she said that whenever her oldest child, who's now 7, I believe, whenever the virtual box would come to the house, he would go running up to the door. He would say, "That's mine. That's for me. That's for me." And they've also come to several in-person events. And she was talking to me about how it was really important to her, because she said she just to know that she was not alone, and that when she went to the first event, which was at Cawcaw Interpretive Center, we did a family hike, that it was the first time that they felt like not isolated, like they weren't the only family.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they also have used our mini grant, because that first year around diagnosis, they were strapped, and their son's feet were growing very quickly, and they used it for shoes.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we have just a couple of minutes left, but we have some important information that we want to make sure we get out to folks tuning in. Funding and sustaining this outreach is just critical. And you have your big yearly fundraiser coming up this fall, Shuck Fest. It's an oyster roast and barbecue from Swig and Swine, I understand.
Yes, Swig and Swine has donated the barbecue, which was phenomenal. And we'll have oysters. Frothy Beard has donated beer, so we'll have beer and wine for sale. Awesome. It'll be at the Isle of Palms Exchange Club, which is a beautiful location on the waterway. There'll be free parking there, and across the street at the Methodist Church, they've offered their back parking lot, which is very kind as well, because parking is limited in Charleston and Isle of Palms. It's Sunday, November 3rd from 1 to 4. we, hope to see everybody out there. We're also looking for sponsors, businesses who want to sponsor, and we've got some great things for those businesses. And we also have the tickets available. If you go to our website, the website's up with Shuckfest and more information. So we'll have an auction, so it'll be a great time. Live music.
Well, sounds exciting. Well, folks, the website, in case you're wondering, is the lononfoundation.org, and you can also donate by Venmo to them as well, and find them on Facebook and Instagram. And speaking of social media, you can also follow us here at the Power Talk, which is your official broadcast of your electric cooperative, and you can catch up on those past episodes on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and get a behind-the-scenes look on Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. So until next time, this is Power Talk, signing off.